You're listening to the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast, where we explore the connection between a fit body and positive mental health. And our big mission? It's to help 10,000 runners to develop fitter minds in the next 2 years. I'm your host, Michelle Frost. Let's get moving. Welcome to this episode of the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast. Today, we talk to Sarah Bagley. Sarah told me that when she's feeling a little bit like comparing herself to those around who are also running, she says over and over again to herself, comparison is the destruction of happiness. Isn't that awesome? Enjoy. Today on Fit Mind, Fit Body, I have the wonderful Sarah Bagley. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello.
I'm so excited. I can tell because we can see this like a video, or nobody else can see it except, you and I, we're looking at each other. But you're obviously in the classroom right now. Is that right?
I am. I'm in my little library, and because I thought I'm not going to race home, I'll just do some work here and then set up in the classroom little library, so my breakout space.
What's the size of the chair you're sitting on? Just thought of that.
I've got my wheelie chair.
Oh, you do? I thought maybe you were on one of those
a
little children's chair, but you're not. You're a bigger chair.
The class I have, the chairs aren't that small.
Oh, they're not? Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So they're not uncomfortable to sit in, unlike kinder, where you have to sort of sit with your knees up to your chin.
It's kind of a funny, yes, I've had to do that before in my very short teaching career. I can just remember having to spend a lot of time sitting on those little chairs. It's just,
These days I just sit on my roller. It's easier.
Yeah, I can actually, that would be fun. Scooting around in a classroom with rolly chairs.
Well, if I'm doing group work, I usually have something that's aching, so I sit on my my roller and I just sort of massage as I'm doing my group work.
Oh.
So I sit on a spiky ball and it helps.
These would be running sorenesses, a lot of them by the sound of it.
Little niggles here and there.
It's a few. All right. Before we get into your running though, let's scoot all the way back to Sarah Bagley when she was at school, when she was young. Where did you grow up? Give us a little bit of background.
I grew up in Burnie, Northwest Coast.
I did not know.
And I went to Marist. Yeah. I went to Stella Marist first and then Marist. And then I went to uni at 17 because I was one of the young enrolments back in the day where you could be enrolled when you were 4. Well, turning 5, say June. So I was born in April. Yep. So I was 4 in prep. So that made me young 17 when
that's amazing. Because I remember because I'm a January baby, so I was like always right in the middle of everybody. Whereas now I would have been older, like one of the older ones. And like I've got a child.
And most of my friends turned, say 18 a year before me.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit hard when you're down at uni and everyone's going out and you don't want to be,
not going out partying.
Yes.
So at school in Burnie, what kind of sport did you do there?
I did the usual schoolgirl hockey. I did a netball. I did softball. And then I wasn't really into any of them really. I did a bit of cross country, but just school things, nothing
extracurricular.
Yeah, I did. when I came back to Burnie when I got a job at Waratah, I did join a hockey team, the Burnie Hawks.
Wow.
An adult hockey team. But I wasn't very good because I didn't know how to play. I was in the A reserves. I only joined because a friend of mine said, I want to play hockey. Let's join the Burnie Hawks, the Burnie team. So she was really, really good and ended up in the A grade, and I was in the A reserves, not knowing a thing. I played schoolgirls, but that was when I was like 8.
So how long did you play hockey for as an adult?
Just for a year or two.
So you knew a little bit about it by the end of it?
I had to say to them, just tell me where to stand but that's basically it. And they said, stick to that girl or stick to that person and just don't let them get the ball. Yeah. And
you must have enjoyed it a little bit, yeah?
I did. I like the competitiveness of it because I'm slightly little teeny bit competitive.
You are, actually. I think you are a little bit, at least certainly when we were younger and we used to run. I remember thinking Sarah's a bit competitive.
Yeah, yes. I just sometimes just mainly with myself.
Yeah.
I've learned not to compare myself with others.
That's a very good point. In fact, that's even a takeaway, I think, on one of the episodes on the podcast, is not to compare yourself to others. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So at school, you just did the normal kind of everyday stuff that they tell you to do at school when it comes to sport.
That's all.
Yep.
Yes. Nothing club sport, just the usual school.
Yeah.
Softball.
Bit of netball maybe.
And the hockey. Yeah.
So what did you do when you were at school? What was your kind of hobby type stuff? Doesn't have to be sporting at all, obviously.
My sister and I, we lived at the back, over the back fence from Parklands High School in Burnie. And they used to have rows and rows of pine trees. And the oval was there, and then they had like little creeks running through it. So my sister and I would get our dragster bikes with the big banana seats and just ride our bikes all the way through there, catch tadpoles, go down hills on the bike, with the legs off the pedals, just adventurous stuff like that.
Carefree. Enid Blyton, stories. Was it Famous Five or something? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And we'd go over there and just play on the oval. My cousins would come and, we'd go and play cricket or... Okay. Yeah. I like reading. I love jigsaw puzzles. Yeah. So, yeah.
So one sibling?
Sorts of things growing.
One sibling?
Yes, I have a sister.
Is she older or younger than you?
She's in
Hobart.
She's in Hobart.
Is she older or younger than you?
Oh, older.
Older.
She's older. Yeah.
So you went to university. Did you say Hobart? Did you go?
Yes.
Yeah. And so what did you study at university?
I studied psychology first, sort of majoring in psychology. And then I thought, what will I do? I've always sort of liked the idea of teaching. So I then did teaching on top of that.
So you did, that's like 2 degrees.
Yes.
Good on you. Well done.
Yes. And the teaching was a fast-tracked one because I already had a degree.
Yeah. So it was that prior learning. You get credits for prior learning type stuff. That's awesome. And so does that mean instead of, was it like 3 years for psychology and then another year or so, or 2 years for the teaching, something like that?
For 1 year. It was really fast-tracked.
Yeah.
We didn't have a break at all.
Yeah.
Combined 2 pracs in with that.
Yeah.
So it was just jam-packed, just no time for basically holidays in that year.
You're in a classroom, basically.
And then, I moved back home, and then I moved into a flat with a friend of mine because I thought, I haven't got a position yet. I'll just do relief. And then I was phoned on the day I was moving to Hobart for a position at Bridport. And I said, I've got to turn it down. The first job I've ever turned down. And then I just left that. So for a term, I did childcare and relief.
Wow.
And then I got a position at Brighton Primary School in Hobart.
Yeah.
And that was really tough because there was a lot of army kids back then because of the barracks there. It was, and I was a teacher who went in and supported teachers who had difficult children.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I did that for the remainder of that year. And then I moved back to Burnie and taught for a year. And then I went overseas.
Wow.
Saved my money. And I went to Canada first.
Yeah.
And I was a caregiver for 3 children.
Oh, like a nanny.
And
like
yes,
a nanny.
well, they are caregiver. It was a really organic family too.
Okay. Wow.
And a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an 18-month-old.
Oh gosh.
And I was very good at getting 3 kids ready to go out into the snow to go on adventures. You know, like it would take an hour to get ready.
Wow.
And then I always remember one time, Max was the 3-year-old. They had to have like suits on, and then their snow suits, and then their gloves, and then their hats. And he just said, I've already gone to the toilet. I've done a poo. And I'm like, so therefore that took another hour to clean him up and then get ready again, and then we're off. So for 3 children, I stayed there for about 8 months.
Wow.
And yeah, and then went to the United Kingdom.
Did you stay in touch with the family in Canada?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, they would be, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, well into their 20s.
That's amazing. So then you went from Canada to England.
Yes.
To the UK.
So I was not active at all during this time. At all.
At all. Apart from you had to catch planes and walk to the plane.
Yes, and run to get tube stations and, you know, run here and run there. Yes. And I always look back and I think, gee, I wish I ran the London Marathon back then, or ran around Hyde Park or Kensington Gardens.
Just for the experience.
No. I had a great time. So that was 2 years there.
So 2 years on the way UK. Back, wow.
2 years.
That's
and
amazing.
I did so many different things. I was a jewelry inspector. Jewelry.
A jewelry,
yes.
Jewelry, as
inspector,
in the things we wear.
They would give me a big, huge box of jewelry that's like, you know, the diamante things that were huge. And I would look at the clasp and I'd look at the diamonds and say, okay, yes, that passes. No, that clasp is dodgy. Throw that in another box. And then I got sick of that. And then I worked in the pub thing.
Yeah, I did that in the UK.
The usual. And then I not managed, but co-managed a backpackers that cook breakfast in the mornings, and, you know, rotations with the sheet changing and booking people in.
Wow.
And then I worked at Whiteley's as a in the cinema there. And Whiteley's is a shopping centre. Oh, wow. And in that shopping centre is a cinema. So they had like 100 different shops. So I did that, and then I thought, okay, I need some real money here. So I did teaching then.
So you used your Australian teaching degree in the UK there?
Yes. Yeah? Oh, I put my name down, and that afternoon they called me up for a job. They were still ringing me when I got back to Australia.
Oh, wow.
Because they were saying, oh, look, they're in desperate need of relief teachers over there. And that was brilliant. I loved it.
What years did you teach in the UK?
I taught anything from their kinder to their grade 6. I didn't like to go above sort of grade 3 because that it was very challenging. Some of the areas that I went were tough.
Yeah.
But I think I got most of my behavioural management skills dealing with the toughest kids you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
But they ended up to be, the most rewarding.
Oh, totally. I understand that. My first, one of my first jobs was to share a class at Rochalee with my mum. Many
Yes.
Yeah, a grade 3. And then I was warned that was one child who just liked to run, and I was already running a lot by then. I was like, you're only in grade 3. There's no way you're going to get away from me.
Yeah.
And the other teachers would say, but don't chase him because he'll just run further, like a horse that gets, I don't know if you know that story with horses. If you chase a horse, they just run faster and run further away.
And
luckily he was only in grade 3, so I could catch him because he did keep running. Anyway,
they can go. Gosh.
Oh my gosh, they can. Anyway, there was one of my little stories from that era. So you came back to Australia, and you'd had.
Well, I came back by Africa, so I did an African safari for about 7 weeks, and I'm thinking, I don't know how I survived. I'm not a camper, but I was thrown into the worst camping conditions ever and survived.
Well, there you go. Maybe you are a camper underneath.
No.
So, but you enjoyed Africa, even if the camping was rudimentary.
I loved it. Yep, loved it.
Yeah, wow.
It was fantastic.
So you came home via Africa. Came home
with $50 in my wallet.
I'm glad that you used all of the money. It's important.
And then what did I do after Africa? I taught for relief, and then I got a couple of contracts. This is back when we had 3 terms.
Yeah. So
relief, teaching, then 2 terms of teaching, and then I got permanency down in the Wild West.
So was it Waratah? Is that where you said you were?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of bike riding there.
How long were you in Waratah for?
I was 4 years.
4 years. All right. So
4 years.
You've been teaching pretty much since then, I would say. How long ago was that you came back to
that was I'm nearly up to my special 25-year box.
In the Tasmanian Education Department?
Yes. When you reach 25 years, you get a special box.
What is that box?
It used to be a beautiful, well, it still is nice. It used to be a beautiful hue and pine box that everyone laughed and said, it's your ashes box.
I know. I actually was going, but then
it's an actual box. But then they got a little bit cheap, and then people who have gone on holiday down south now make it at Wisdom. They make the special box.
Oh, okay. That sounds like
so I think I'm on year 24. I'm nearly been teaching 25 years.
So you don't get a watch, you get a box.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So we know you're a teacher and you've taught all over the world, which is amazing. Tell me, when did you start running?
When I moved to Launceston. Like I was active in Waratah with bike riding and walking.
Yeah.
But Meg Lade, when I met lovely Meg Lade.
I know Meg.
I know. She taught next door to me, and she'd always say, let's do the Burnie 10 together. And I'd go, yeah, all right. And then I'd go, no, why would I want to do that? Oh. And then I thought to myself once, I'm going to actually do it. So she then said, I'll meet you at Royal Park and we'll go for a run. And I'm like, okay. It was the hardest thing ever. I think I averaged on like 8-minute kilometres. And I just remember saying, it's too hard. And then she'd say, no, it's not. You're doing great.
And she's a bit chipper, isn't she?
Yeah. So I did that, and the Bernie 10 came around, and I thought, I want to do it under an hour. And I did. I think I got 57 minutes or something.
That's awesome.
I know. And all I remember is running up the main street going, oh my God, I'm going to be sick. I can't be sick in front of all these people.
And this is like
and
my
I finished,
hometown.
and
It was
yes,
your
I
hometown,
can't
so it would be even more. I know.
And yes, so I was so happy at the end that I didn't care that I got 57 minutes. All I was happy with is that I did it under an hour.
And didn't throw up in front of your hometown.
And so then she said, oh, there's a really good club, the Launceston Running Club. That it wasn't called that back then. What was it called? Launceston
Athletic Club. Yeah.
Yes, Launceston Running Club. And I remember at Grindelwald standing in line. I must have been to the toilets or Portaloo, and there are two other people there going, oh, yeah, 7 Ks, just a walk in the park. This is just a training run. And I'm like, what in the world are you saying? It's 7 kilometres. Yes. And then there was the race that was 10 kilometres, and it started at St Leonard's, and it went through. It was a feature race back then.
Yeah, just did the whole loop. Yeah.
Yes, and that was my first 10K ever.
Oh, wow. Apart from the Bernie 10.
I thought, and it ran up towards the big loop.
Yeah, so into Newstead and then back around.
Yeah, Newstead and then up, the St Leonard's Way. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's not an easy run. That was a very hard run because of the hills. There's quite a few hills in there.
Yes.
We don't have that run anymore.
And then I won a couple. I won 3 out of my years there.
What year was it that you started with the club?
Oh.
Can you remember?
2007? So 2006.
So did you do the Bernie 10 in 2006, 2005?
Oh.
Something
so
like
I've got
that?
notes here.
You got notes? Good on you.
Well,
not that anyone's going to go, oh, that's
2007, I won my first 5 kilometre at LRC.
Oh, good on you.
So it must have been the same year. Must have been 2006, my Bernie 10, 2006.
Oh, wow. So what kept you going? What kept you running? Like the Bernie 10, you crossed the line and there was that sense of achievement, but not everybody keeps going.
But I thought, let's see if I can do a bit better than that. Not that I didn't think that was bad, but I don't know. And then I met more people, and more people to run with, and it was just fun. And the running club was fun because it was just something to do on a Saturday. Not that I have in life. Yeah, it was just something fun to look forward to. And the handicapping I like that because I was always like a front starter. But when I won, they sort of put me right back, but that was fine. Yeah.
That's like a reward. Have a hard handicap.
I like to challenge myself too.
Okay.
I like the challenge. And I'm a bit pig-headed. I won't give in. So anything.
Do you think you're goal orientated? So do you enjoy, because I know you've done lots of other races, obviously not just the Bernie 10 and not just the running club over the years?
Well, yes. And I always need to get over the fact that I sometimes think, I can't do that. What are you doing? What do you think you're doing? Now, what are you standing here for? At the starting line, I just think, And now I'm still got in the back of my mind that I compare myself too much to other people, and I have to stop that.
Yeah. But at least you can acknowledge that and you see that. That's the biggest step, really. It's when you don't realize you're doing, or you don't observe yourself doing that and stop it, but you just,
And when I'm running along, I say to myself, comparison is the destruction of happiness. Comparison is the destruction of happiness. And then I just think, look, that's okay if some people are running faster than you, or if their hip isn't hurting, or that's good. But this is what I'm doing, and at least I'm doing something.
Yes, and you're not just reading, reading is wonderful, but you're not just sitting down on the couch all of the time, which would be very handy.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes I really wish I was.
So how much do you train now? What does your training look like?
Well, it's sort of hit and miss, really. I haven't got anything in mind. Like, I haven't got a race. Like, I really like Point to Pinnacle is coming up, and I really, really like the Point to Pinnacle.
You do?
Even though it's just one great big uphill. I see, that's where I like the challenge, and I did that 2019.
Yeah.
The beginning of 2019, I broke my leg running.
I remember seeing you shuffling. I don't know how anybody breaks their leg running, but you can probably tell us about that in a minute.
I can. And well, I didn't acknowledge that I actually had pain. And of course, I Googled my symptoms, and it said, it was an Achilles injury. And so I treated it as an Achilles injury until the pain got a little bit unbearable. It just wasn't healing. And I thought, I might get that x-ray that the physio told me to get 2 weeks ago. And I did. And they said, you need to go to the hospital, it's broken. And I'm like, well, there you go.
Where was it broken? Where was your leg broken?
Down the lower fibula. And
how is it like a stress fracture? Is that like, because it's not like you fell?
No, it was a clear break. There was possibly a stress fracture, but it was a clear snap, basically.
You think you'd remember doing it?
I know where I did it.
Oh, you do?
And I know how I did it.
Okay, tell us.
It was in the Northwest Trail. That one that goes from
Ribbon of
Cobbler's
Blue?
Bridge to
I caught you. Ribbon of Blue. Yes.
I can never remember it, Northwest. And I was chasing someone on a Wednesday night, and I thought, I'm going to get her. And it's bad. See, this is where the competitiveness is sometimes not good. And then I thought, I stumbled. So I did actually stumble awkwardly, and I thought, ow. So I had no phone, nothing. I'm in the middle of a trail where it was the same distance going forward as back. Yeah. And I think it took me probably an hour to get back. Oh, because I thought, ow. I
was thinking like you'd probably only be about 3K then from Mike's shop, or 3, maybe 4. It's really not that far. It feels like a long way when you're in the middle of the
It was trail. Probably easier if I went back, but I didn't. I kept going because I wanted to catch the girl, but I couldn't. And then, so 3 months sitting on the couch, basically, because I couldn't do anything. I wasn't allowed to put weight on it. Even though it wasn't a weight-bearing bone, I still... But luckily, it started healing already perfectly. So and the hospital said, if you were here 2 weeks ago, you'd be in plaster. And I'm like, well, I've got a boot. I'm pretty lucky. I can take the boot off.
That's amazing.
Yes, it was a bit silly. I need to listen to the professionals more.
And your own body more.
This is 4 years ago. I do listen now.
You feel like you've learned. And so you were saying you broke your leg at the start of the year, basically, and then you did the Point to Pinnacle in the November of that year. Is that what you were saying?
So I got my boot off, and the physio said a kilometre, gentle, then stop running, and then walk, don't overdo it. And I followed his advice to the T. I thought, I'm not going to stuff this up.
Wow.
And then because when you're injured, you tend to see so many happy people running.
I know.
More
Pain-free,
so than
obviously.
you would. And they're all sort of like having the best time with each other and high five. In my mind, they're high-fiving each other every time I drive past them.
Yeah. I know that.
So, yes, and you just think, right. And then something came up on my news feed for Facebook, not at school, sort of at school, and it said, entries open for Point to Pinnacle. And I thought, right. And I entered just like that. And I thought, what am I doing? I can't even run a kilometre. But then I took that was June. So I had June trials, nearly 6 months, 5 to 6 months of really solid training. And I just, every Sunday I'd get up super early and find hills and just run them repetitively.
Oh, wow.
And it was it was really enjoyable. And I just thought, whatever you do, make the cutoff for, don't get caught up in the sweep. And then just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. So I did. I stopped, took photos, chatted to people on the way up, and I finished.
That's awesome. And you haven't had anything has happened, like no repercussions from the broken leg either? Everything's
I thought I would, and I kept going back to the physio, and I said to him, I think I'm going to hurt my leg. And he goes, what? And I said, I think I'm going to hurt myself. I said, I've only got to think about it and something hurts. And he just shook his head and said, no, your leg is fine. Your leg is fine. And I went, are you sure?
It's your head we're worried about.
I just thought, any pain, I thought, oh my gosh. But then I'm over that now because that was a while ago, 3 years, 4 years.
So when do you think you called yourself a runner?
Oh, I'd never do. I know.
That's interesting.
Well, people, I've still got this image of a runner, and I just look at me and go, no, I'm not. And then people say, oh, you're a runner. No, I run, but I'm not a runner.
So tell me, when you see somebody in the Burnie 10 or the Launceston 10 or just people running down the road,
I think they're all runners except
exactly. And you don't care whether they're like stick thin, Olympic looking runners either, do you? You just call them all runners, I assume, if you're like me.
Yes, except me. I will do. I do. I when I finish like my marathons and stuff like that, I look back and I'm more proud now than when I did them. When I did them, I was like, I shouldn't have stopped so many times, and I should have gotten 4 hours 30 or 4 hours 15, because I got 4 hours 30. And I went, I should have trained better. Should have done this. But now I'm looking back going, well, that was freaking amazing.
Exactly.
What I've done.
How many marathons have you done?
3.
Good on you. Excellent.
I would like to do one more.
You do? Is there one that you would like in particular?
I'd like to go. I love Melbourne, just the fact that they've been, or the Gold Coast, I wouldn't mind doing, but I've always wanted to do an overseas one, but one day
we'll see.
The world is not crazy.
That's all right. We'll see how that pans out. It's a bit crazy, it's for sure. Now, you were just talking about your injury, and often we talk about that in relation to identity and, whether you're a runner or whether you consider yourself to be a runner or not. But what happens if you do get an injury where you're laid up for some time, what's going on in your head? I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit by saying what it was like to see all of the people out there obviously having the best runs and training runs and races of their lifetime.
There might not have been that many people out of it, but it just appeared that every time I drove home or something, they were like, thousands.
It's like, if you get obsessed by one kind of car or something, all of a sudden you see it everywhere. It's a bit like that,
Yeah.
I think. So what kind of things were going through your head apart from envy of other people's running?
Thinking, all the why me, why can't I have tough bones?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the fact that it was an overuse injury.
Yeah.
And it was just unfortunate. That it could have been worse. Yeah. But it was just unfortunate. It happened. Yeah. I got over it.
Yeah. And you're still running.
Sorry?
And you're still running.
Yes.
Got back to
yes.
running. Yeah. Which is really cool.
And I'm still competitive in my own little way, but I try to channel it in a good way, not a destructive way.
So that you don't get any more overuse.
Well, we had the school carnival.
Oh, yeah.
This is for 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds. Mm-hmm. And of course, I lined up because I wanted to run in the little hurdle race. And I wanted to beat everyone, 7-year-olds, I might add. And then I pulled my hamstring, re-pulled it, and I thought, oh my gosh, trust me, I'm racing against 7-year-olds and I want to win, of course. And then I'm just sort of limping away. And then they're all saying, oh, Miss Bagley, you've hurt your leg. No, I haven't.
Don't pay any attention to this.
Yeah. But I do. Looking back on all my running events and my trophies and my medals, I do consider myself a runner.
Yeah, yeah.
But not, I would like to do better. I would like to be faster.
I consider you a runner, Sarah. I think of you as a runner. So tell me, how long do you think you'll run for?
Oh, I'll keep going. Mm-hmm. I'll keep going. I always said if I can't run, I'll crawl. If I can't crawl, I'll do something.
So why do you think you like? Because it sounds like the first, I don't know if it was half of your life, but the first part of your life, there wasn't a lot of sort of self, exercise or whatever wasn't something you deliberately went out to get and seek. And yet now I'd say it's a reasonable part of your life outside of your work.
It is.
Yeah.
And I love running with the groups that I run with, and I love running with the people, and I love walking with the people. Mm-hmm. And we just solve the problems of the world when we run, when we walk.
A lot of people. Sorry, you go.
No, I've just said, and I've met some incredible people that I wouldn't have met if I didn't run or if I didn't join in the groups that I've joined. Wouldn't have met them.
That's true. A lot of people say that, they started running for, say, maybe a health reason or as a dare or a work thing. So often people at work can convince people to go and, enter an event or whatever.
Well, it was it was work, like work colleagues encouraging.
That's why they start, but often they continue because of the people, like you said, like the friends that they make. That's why they continue to run.
And I still enjoy the solo runs by myself sometimes and the walks, because if you've got something that you need to figure out, then it's a good time and place to do that.
How what kind of running do you like the most? Are you a road or trail?
Oh, not trails. Oh, no.
Not after your story of your leg. That sounded like a trail.
I fall over. I'm useless. I do like the occasional ones, like probably 3 months ago, Tim designed this run from a Sunday Buddies one, and I'm like going, oh my God, why did I even bother to come?
I was in the reserve.
I don't like trails, but it was fun. It was a challenge, but it was fun. I just I'm steady on my feet, but I have to think. And sometimes I just like to blank out and just go. But you have to think the whole time. And I'm not fast on trails. not that speed is everything, and I've got to keep thinking like speed is not everything.
Speed is definitely not everything, especially as we get older, Sarah. Speed becomes more something that those people over there do, and we're just doing it because it's fun.
Yes, and I do have lots of fun when I do it.
You do. I know you're always smiling. So with your running, you run by yourself and with people. What do you prefer? Or you just both?
Both.
Positives.
With the Point to Pinnacle training, that was basically by myself because I needed to get distance and I needed to get hill training, and I didn't want it to take all of Sunday. Yeah. So if I started really early, then I'd be home and finished, so I could do other things. Mm-hmm. So, but I like walking too, but not by myself, but but I like walking with others too. So
a bit of both.
It just depends. Depends on what I need to do.
Do you have headphones
and who's
in?
There.
Do you listen to stuff do you listen to things when you're running?
Podcasts, your podcasts.
Oh, good girl. Well done.
While I'm walking, some music, it just depends. Yeah. But I haven't for a while. I used to all the time, but then I just like to know my surroundings and be aware of what's around.
What's going on. What kind of things are you thinking about when you're running? Like a minute ago, you said, it's quite good for if nothing out of problem sometimes. What sort of things?
Whose birthday it is next, and what I have to do to get organised for work, what like assessments I need to be doing at school, how am I going to mow the lawn and do all of this at the same time? I need a pile of ironing to do, lots of things come in and out.
Yeah, lots of checklist kind of stuff. It's like,
yes.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
And if I had a bad day, then, I could work it through.
Yeah. It gives you that space. They often say that, something I talk about a lot on here is the science that now shows that what's going on in your brain while you're running is very similar to what happens when you're meditating. So there are similar neural pathways are being created, and the same kind of chemicals are being happening in your brain, and not just the happy dopamine ones because we're happy because we're doing something, but there's all these other things.
I can go for a long while and I'm completely like void of anything. I'm just completely
in the moment.
Yeah, completely. And people have said, we drove past you and we basically had to run you over to get your attention because we blew the horn and that. And then I just said, I'm so sorry. Maybe you need to run me over once in a while and say hello.
But don't break any bones. Thank you.
And I had a grade, he must be in grade 4. And he said, I saw you out running on Sunday. And I said, oh, did you? And he said, oh, how far did you go? And I said, oh, not far, about 10. And he goes, God, 10? That's pretty good. And I said, oh, you should have beat the horn. Because he said, oh, I was in a ute. I was in the brown ute. And I'm thinking, I have no idea. And I said, oh, you should have beat the horn. And he said, oh, no, that would have put you right off. Get you out of the zone. I said, yeah.
That's so cute. I love that. Yeah. All right, Sarah, how do you get out the door? Like we've already established I think you're quite competitive. We've established that a little bit, even if it's only with yourself, and you're goal driven as well. So even though you don't have a goal right now, although are you doing the Point to Pinnacle this year?
No.
It's coming up. Yeah. How do you get out the door, especially on those days where it's just like, we don't want to run every day, even though we really love running. Sometimes it's like, I'm too tired, or I've got all these things to do, all that washing needs doing and the lawn mowing, and maybe the weather's horrid. Who knows?
Well, I usually say to myself the night before, right, you're going for a run. And then once I've made that decision, if it's bucketing down, I don't care. I'll put a jacket on, which I've done that a few times. And I thought, no, I've made that decision. Get up, and go. And that's usually it.
And that's all you
Once
need to do. You just
lined up.
Yep. You have it's kind of that what is it? If you don't plan, you plan to fail or something. So it's by saying that you're
and
going.
I have all my gear out.
Yeah.
Everything is ready. Everything. Yeah. If I've got like jelly beans or whatever I need for my walk or my run, my water's there, my fuel, everything's set out. And if I didn't, then I'd be like all day going, you should have just gone. You should have just gone.
It's hard to fit in if you miss that sad morning bit, isn't it?
Yes.
Those days where I've gone, I'll just do it later. And it's just like later never comes because
easy to talk yourself out of it, but I've stopped doing that. Not that I did it a lot, but it's easy to say, oh, it's raining. I'm not going, or it's windy, or there's a cloud in the sky.
No, not one cloud. That could turn into rain any second.
I don't mind rain. I don't mind if it's hard getting out of the car when it's bucketing down.
Yeah.
But if I'm running and it starts to rain, it doesn't bother me at all.
I don't mind either. I quite like actually running in bad weather, but I don't like stepping into the bad weather, like you said. But I don't mind if the bad weather just happens once I started running, if that's fine. Even bad wind or whatever, I don't. You kind of feel alive, don't you? Because you're out there and the world's happening around you and you're part of it. You're not kind of locked away in a house.
And then people say, you're crazy. And I go, I know. I don't mind that.
Mind you, on the same side of that, if I get home after a long Sunday run and then it starts raining, but I had a lovely run and it didn't rain while I was running, I'm like, oh, that's so good as well.
I know. I deserve to sit down and have this cup of tea or
look, I missed the bad weather. I'm so good. It's so funny that we do that. I just thought, because you're a teacher, do you think there's I'm sure there is, but have you seen the positive effects of you being a teacher who moves deliberately, who has a life that's outside the classroom that obviously the kids see? I mean, obviously all teachers have a life outside the classroom, but do you think your running has helped as a positive influence to the children that you?
Oh, definitely. Yes, because I go to like the running buddies and I look forward to sometimes on a Tuesday. Some Tuesdays I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired. It's only Tuesday. Yes, it sort of gives me, because otherwise sometimes you can get so wrapped up in the work that you do that you can't separate yourself from, well, most people can, I can't, from work to your other life.
A lot of people have talked about it being, those that I've talked to who run home from work, all kinds of work, that it's quite a good way to whatever conflict, get rid of anything that happened at work, and then leave it at the door. So you kind of run, you deal with anything that you needed to deal with in your head for work, and then you're home and that's dealt with.
That, but I carry a lot of like laptops and this and that, and I could leave it at work. I could, but yes,
teachers don't do all their work in the classroom.
A few people here ride their bikes to and from work.
So what do you think the kids that you teach think about having a runner as a teacher?
When I was especially doing marathons, it was pretty good, because when I went to the marathon, I've got the photo somewhere. They've all they made placards, and it's like great running, and each child held up a card that spelled out congratulations, I think, and that was really good.
That's lovely.
And like when I did my Launceston one, a few people, because I didn't tell anyone that I was doing it really. I was just sort of signed up. Yes, and they enjoyed seeing my medals and
So it probably,
and I use my bibs too. Sorry.
Oh, you do? I was going to say it would influence the children that you teach, I'm sure, in a positive way.
And so we do a thing called Run Around Australia. So every day we do laps to add up to run around Australia, basically. And it's a whole school thing. And I've got a pair of runners here that I put on when I'm on duty too. So some of my Strava, you'll see that it's just basically like a figure of 8, or it's loops of a very small place, and that's the playground.
Oh, wow.
That I put my watch on, and I try and beat my previous day of when I'm on duty. Yeah. And I just try and get over 1.2 kilometers
I just got
in the time.
I just got this
but
picture.
It's hard because I get interrupted with issues in the playground.
I've got this picture in my head with Sarah going, I've got to beat that last one that I did. And now there's a child over there that's just fallen off the monkey bars. What's more important, the child or the fact that
I usually say, when I do the next loop, I'll come and see if you're all right. I don't. I go straight there, yeah, but sure I just think, oh.
That's so funny. Oh, I love that. So
yes,
that is hilarious. Tell me, how do you think running has improved your life, so that if running wasn't in your life, you wouldn't have this thing? What's the one thing that running's given you?
Health, yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be health.
Health-wise, definitely. Heart health and all the other benefits, strengthened, leg strength, bone strength, apart from the fact that, that small incident a couple of years ago. Just, I don't know, happier.
Yeah.
But it is definitely happier once you've done something.
Can you remember when you didn't run? And that, because I can remember times when I didn't run in my early 20s, and just sometimes going up the stairs just seemed to be like, oh, this is all very hard. Yeah. Whereas now it's not that it's not hard, but it's just all fine, and so I assume it's because our level of fitness and our, as you said, the bone strength and things like that. We've got a good foundation.
The level of fitness, definitely. Like if I walk into town, it's nothing. I go, it's only 2 kilometers. Whereas before it'd be like, I'll drive. or walking 2Ks, I better plan for the whole afternoon.
Yeah.
And I don't see it. I just see it as normal.
Yeah.
Whereas some people go, why don't you just get in the car and drive there? And I'm like, well, it's only down the road, which is, from here, I consider my place in South Launceston to the seaport is, it's just down the road. I'll walk there.
Yeah.
I walk, it's,
and that's
look at this hill. I'll walk up and see where it takes me. I haven't been around that street before. I
love that. It's exploring as well.
Yeah.
There's a book that I was reading this week, and they were saying that humans, we've actually been, many millennia ago, our normal walking and moving was about, what did they say, about 12 miles. So I suppose that must be almost 20 kilometers a day.
Yeah.
So that's just and our bodies have actually not changed really at all since then, apart from the fact that we sit down all the time, but we're still designed to do that. So, as you said, just going that 2Ks into town and back, it should just be, a little something, not a big deal, but we've got this modern world now where we sit down all the time. I was in Sydney earlier in the year when it wasn't COVID, and then they didn't have a COVID period. It was just before they got sick again. And we had friends ask us to come for dinner, and old friends there, and we said, oh yes, we'll come. We'll walk to your place. And it was 7 Ks. And they were like, we knocked on the door, and they're like, what? You walked here? Exactly like you said. It was like, what?
It's fun. They'd be like, that's nothing.
So we could just explore. Yes, we left ourselves, plenty of time. And anyway, it was a lovely thing to do too. As you said, that exploring element. I love that. It's kind of being able to look around. All right, Sarah, is there anything about running that we have not touched on today that you think we should have, or that you would like to share about running?
Just get out there and have a go at it. Don't compare yourself.
Oh, yes.
You know, I know, I say that, and then 2 minutes later, I'm like, oh.
It's all practice. We all just have to practice these things.
There. And if someone is going faster than you, then good luck to them, and that's great. At least you're moving too. Yes, and just have a go at it.
Yeah. Have you convinced any people yourself? Are there some people that in your life do you think are running because you, like you said, Meg convinced you to come along and do the Bernie 10?
It took a while for Meg to convince me. No, it probably took 2 years, 2 Bernie 10s.
Oh, wow. Good on her.
Yeah, probably one. I don't know. She's very convincing.
She's very stubborn, obviously, too. Stubborn to keep trying to get you to come. So that's really cool. Have you got anyone in your life? Can you think of any people that you've encouraged to run?
Oh, I can't think of any, but I hope that, I've helped someone, put the shoes on and tie the laces up and get out there.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Even if it's just all the amount of times you would turn up to Mike's and have your photo taken, even when you weren't there, as we talked about before we started recording.
It's only because that in the dark, I can't see very well in the dark, and it's so hard sometimes. And it's not dark anymore.
It's not.
But I walk on a Wednesday. I meet up with Tamara and we go for our walk, which is nice.
Yeah.
Then I know that I'm run Tuesday night, and then I can walk Wednesday. I walk Thursday, and then run Friday morning.
That's plenty.
So it's sort of a routine now.
Yeah, we do. I think routines are good for us. I do.
And that's what I think it is.
Yeah, because they do.
It's more of a routine.
Yeah, they help us, make sure that we do, especially when we have healthy things in that routine. We stay a bit
and it's a routine because on a Sunday, I just go, okay, Sunday morning, I'm going for a run. It's a routine. If I don't, it's like, oh,
what happened?
What am I going to do now? It's only 9 o'clock.
I know. I've got that, now that running club's finished at the moment, I always go, I'll just have a few Saturdays off before I go back to park run. I haven't been back yet. It's been like, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks or something. I really, actually might have been longer than that. When was that? I don't know. The end of September.
I haven't been back to park run for a while.
So I should have instituted the new positive routine, but I haven't done so yet. Because then you fall into this, a cup of tea in bed is lovely on a Saturday morning. Doesn't matter. All right. So, Sarah, it has been lovely to have you on board. Can you think of some beginner tips? So if someone came to you and said, Sarah, I want to start running, what would you suggest that they do?
I would say I'll be like Meg. Meet me somewhere and I'll show you, or I could tell that person some nice runs to start with, some nice loops. Tell them to get a good pair of shoes.
That's a good idea. I love that.
Yes. And just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
We should get a t-shirt that, what is it, like Meg said. I think whatever you said a minute ago was quite funny. I could see it on a t-shirt, like Meg said, or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
What Meg does.
Yes. Just enjoy it and get out there, come to a running group.
Yeah.
Because it's always nicer to have a bunch of like-minded people that of all abilities.
Yeah.
Of all abilities. You can be the fast one, you can be, the middle of the road one, you can be the one who runs for social purposes. I like the social purposes.
Yes, social is good.
Or the ones that do walk run.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just get out there and enjoy it.
Yeah, and smile. It'll make you smile.
Have fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Me.
Come run with Sarah, and she won't mind if you're a little bit faster than her. Not at all. All right. Thank you, Sarah. It has been a delight to share some of your running story. I really enjoyed learning a bit more about you. So thank you for being on board.
Well, thank you for inviting me on.
And I will see you.
And what did you say
soon.
before? Don't press the button before you say.
Yes. Don't go yet, because I will say goodbye to you off the recording as well. Thank you for listening to the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast. I'd love to talk to you about your running journey. So send me a message on Facebook or on the website, and let's do it. For a bunch of resources on mindful running that will help you get and stay mentally and physically fit, head over to the website fitmindfitbody.co, and I'll see you there. Plus, I'll be back here in your podcast player a few times a week. Hit subscribe now so that you don't miss an episode. And before you go, I'd really appreciate it if you'd leave a review. It'll help more people to find the podcast and get inspired to start running. I'll see you soon. Bye.